Good afternoon to you, Jim. Plenty to talk about. Firstly, a lot of people in the UK must be concerned about the stock market there plunging, the pound plunging. How bad will it get, do you think?
Well, Andrew, the world is already entering recession. Japan is in recession, parts of Europe, parts of America. This is just going to make it worse. Everybody should be concerned because the next recession, the next problem is going to be worse than 2008 because now we have a lot of debt. And when you have bear markets, something always comes along to make it worse. You should be very worried, Andrew.
Well, how far away are we then? Because I had heard the global argument here, as you said, global economy is weak. We are expecting a black swan, but obviously you don't know exactly what that might be. But many people were predicting perhaps it will be the Brexit. Do you think this could be the domino, the first one that falls, that could send everything else tumbling?
Yes, it's actually the second or third or fourth because, as I said, Japan is already in recession. You already have a lot of problems in the world. There's a lot of debt in China that's coming out now. So there are a lot of dominoes already falling, but this is a big one. This is a big one. Now, Andrew, you're going to have other people. Scotland, you heard Scotland. You're going to have countries in Europe, France, Italy, Belgium. Plenty of other countries are going to try this now. There's going to be a lot of problems in the next 2 or 3 years. Be worried.
All right, well, the Bank of England is probably very worried at the moment this morning too. Mark Carney is going to come out and give more details about how he hopes to help the British economy. What can he actually do as a central bank? What can you do in a situation like this?
All they can do is print money and drive interest rates lower, both of which are not good for the world, not good for Britain. Maybe in the short term it'll help, but in the medium term and long term, that will be bad for the world, but all the central banks are going to do it, Andrew. Be worried.
So the option of increasing interest rates to try and protect the pound, do you think that's something he'll do?
I cannot conceive that he would do that. No, he might lose his job if he did that because people are so worried about the economy. The pound is the least of their worries. They're worried about the economy.
So how do you see a way out of this then? From what I'm picking up, you believe there's no real direct way out. There's a storm coming and we're going to all have to face it.
We've had a storm in America every 4 to 7 years since the beginning of the Republic. It's normal. We're overdue. It's coming. We've got to be prepared. You should be prepared for the storm because it's coming.
How can we get prepared, Jim? Tell us.
Well, I can tell you what I'm doing. Everybody has to do their own. I have sold short stocks in the United States. I am long a lot of U.S. dollars because people will flee to the U.S. dollar now. The U.S. dollar is not a safe haven, Andrew, but people think it is. America is the largest debtor in the history of the world, so I'm short American stocks. I'm long the currency. I own a few stocks in China, a few stocks in other places, and agriculture. You can be long agriculture, long U.S. dollars, and short stocks.
And what impact do you think this will have on perhaps, the Federal Reserve in the US? They have elections coming up too. Does this basically put the dampener on any more interest rate rises?
The US is unlikely to raise interest rates, certainly before the election, because as you can see, the world is now in panic and more higher interest rates will not help. We need higher interest rates, Andrew, but the central bankers are made up of bureaucrats and academics and they don't understand. They're the ones who are getting us into this problem with their absurd interest rates. Now it's going to be worse.
And from your perspective, Jim, is Britain better off out of Europe, considering this large financial storm is coming or has arrived, as you say, or would it be better off fighting it within Europe?
It doesn't really matter now, does it, Andrew? They're leaving, and I can't vote. I would have voted to stay. But listen, I don't vote in the UK. They don't listen to me, and they've made their decision. Now they got to live with it.
And the warnings that came out from perhaps the World Bank and the IMF that, there will be economic consequences, dire consequences. Are you surprised that people in Britain didn't seem to listen to that?
No, not at all. Whenever you have bad times, and we're in bad times in much of the world, people always look for somebody to blame. And they always blame the foreigners first. It's easier to blame the foreigners, and it always happens. Everywhere in the world. It's not just Britain. It happens in Russia, America, Germany, everywhere. You blame the foreigners.